Hey, Cherry here, and today I have a very special video. I'm not one to ask many questions, but today I have one big question. What's the deal with crossplay? Lately, we've been seeing a lot of advertising, and since the beginning, there's been talks about crossplay for Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2. And we've seen it from Fair Play Labs, we've seen it talked about with beta testers, we've seen it in articles, we've seen it everywhere. So there's been some talks within the community about, is there actually going to be crossplay at launch? And this is the thing, is that many people who are familiar with it, not necessarily developers or testers or things like that, just people who have been following the marketing material, obviously since the beginning, like myself and others have been saying, yeah, for sure. Who the heck is saying anything the opposite? Why would crossplay not be in the game? What could possibly even make you assume differently? Well, it's all about marketing and communication and a whole bunch of things. So going right from the beginning of this discussion, we see that not only will it have the game in the Polygon article that was back in the summer, there was talks about Nickelodeon will improve upon voice acting of all of its characters. Then the second bullet it lists for improvements to the game in the sequel is crossplay on all platforms. However, it doesn't say that this will be at launch, and it doesn't really say this for any of this. However, in a more recent post by Fair Play, there's been a couple of these, but the older one being this one. Get ready to challenge your hashtag NASB2 friends on Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, and PC. And it just says a joke, playfully. Basically, everyone else playing together through crossplay. Dreamcast owners. That's all fine and dandy. It's just a funny bit. However, there was a couple things between this post and the next one I'm now showing on screen that make people scratch their heads a little bit. And it is, yes, from Fair Play Labs, crossplay will be available in NASB 2 between Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, so you can all enjoy a slice of the action together. And it's just another playful meme with all the turtles, ironically, just showing them all off, with them eating a slice of pizza that has been labeled Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2. All fine and dandy once again. However, this has some interesting implications in that it is saying crossplay will be available in NASB 2. It doesn't say that it will be available day one, and it doesn't say when at all it will be available. It just says it will be available. So the Occam's razor, just the idea of going to the most obvious and simplest solution to a problem or a question would make, in the most realistic response that should be accepted, is that this just is trying to say that, well, crossplay will be there in Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2. What else do you want us to tell you? There's no conspiracy. It's not like we've been saying otherwise. It's not like this was randomly brought up. They've been marketing crossplay since the beginning with the Polygon article. However, not just in this post, but across other things, there was a screenshot, and I'm not sure as to where this was shown. I believe it was on the Steam page, or it was shown in another tweet or something, but I cannot for the life of me find this specific screenshot that I'm recollecting in my brain. But as the screenshot said, it said Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2 will have voice acting day one as when it would be available. And then right below that, the next feature that it would be listing off was crossplay being the next feature that it would be discussing. So it said crossplay, space, line, and that showed just no availability estimate on when it would be in NASB 2. So I'm not sure what that necessarily implies. Is that just saying that? And one way I've seen people explain it to me is that they are trying to say and explain to people who may have not played the first game when the voice acting was added officially to Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 1, was that, hey, we're going to have voice acting this time. It's going to be day one. And my response to that is, well, if that is the case, is they're just reminding people that a feature that wasn't there at launch, that wasn't promised at launch, is now in the game of the sequel at launch. Sure, that's fine. I think that's fine to remind, as well as to tell people that like didn't play the game long enough for NASB 1 when it like didn't have voice acting at first for a long time, to say, hey, we have voice acting now, guys. And they'll be like, wow, like this is really cool that we have voice acting in the second game. I didn't even know the first one did. That's pretty awesome. So it's like, it's fine to tell those people that. However, why wouldn't you do the same for a feature that also is assumed to be day one? And this isn't me, and I want to clarify this. It's not me speculating that the game will not have crossplay at launch, because I trust the information and the like marketing material saying like you wouldn't just market a feature, you know, like saying, hey, crossplay, it's gonna be so big and awesome. Like you wouldn't say, oh, we have rollback netcode if you don't actually have rollback netcode. You wouldn't say we have voice acting day one if you're not gonna have voice acting day one. You wouldn't say you have Jimmy Neutron in the game and show a trailer with gameplay if Jimmy Neutron isn't in the game. You see where I'm going? Is that if they're marketing it so hard, it does not make any sense as to why it wouldn't be. And that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is that, is the game marketing? Why is it so particular about saying if it will be there? Like, why hasn't there ever been, to my knowledge, a post? Because I feel like I would have found it. Like, you know, like looking through my the tweets and such. I'm on Twitter every day. If it was something that I just didn't notice somehow, I would have been given that as evidence, because I've had this discussion a couple times so far in private, as here it is. Here's one of the responses I've talked about, and it's just that crossplay has been advertised as a feature on every pre-order website. It's been mentioned 3 separate times from official sources, even before other confirmations, and there is just zero reason to think that it won't be in the game. And I don't think that that's fair to say, one. And it's the reason why I think this is not because I think that there won't be crossplay day one. It's just that if crossplay is this big marketable feature and it's been in articles and videos and in just, it's like one of the big things that's coming to the game, why hasn't it ever been marketed as a day one feature? It should be a very proud thing to say we're getting rollback netcode on all platforms that is crossplay, including items and voice acting and new characters and mechanics and all of these things. And it's not like they're not marketing it, because they still talk about, like, Fairplay obviously is talking about how they have crossplay. However, it's just so because I majored and studied marketing and communications in college. And so it's like, my whole thing is like, consumers have to be told something and it's so simplified, like just, hey, like, buddy, like this thing, whatever it is that you're selling, will be available on this date, and you can buy it for this much, and you can get it for like these things. Like, let's say you're buying like a shoe, and you wouldn't put like on the shoe, oh, it's like if you're for sizing purposes, you wouldn't not say if it's like intended to be a men's sizing or a women's sizing. It's not that you wouldn't put neither, unless it's a uniform or unisex like shoe style, like a Converse or something, you know, like, but you definitely wouldn't put nothing. It's not that you wouldn't hide what it's for, you know. You wouldn't say, oh, like I wouldn't tell you, yep, it's a shoe, it'll be a size 7, and then when you go, so is it men's, women's, or unisex, they just would like not tell you. Like that would just wouldn't happen. You know, I'm getting at, like, if crossplay is in day one, and it shouldn't be a big deal to say so, like, will it be there at day one? And there is a couple people here. There's a lot of people saying other things, but this is one person who did say it today. Invader Zim or Invader Vim said at launch ? Just asking straight up, hey, like, and there is no response, and there's no, and it's like, it's not like I don't think that you should expect a social media person to just magically decide to follow or to repost or like every single question or even reply. You know what I mean? However, I think it's important to see the lack of both that as well as the lack to just commit to saying the day one. And so what does that mean? Does that mean, and again, we'll use Occam's razor. Does that mean nothing? Does that mean they just straight up just haven't been seeing that these types of replies from, like, because I've asked like at launch before, not in this post in particular, but I have in the other one. So like, says it here, and then I believe somewhere, maybe it's a quote retweet. A lot of these this one's a bit older, so it was prior to the release date. But anyways, my point is with this is that in no official source that we've seen so far, there is no official confirmation or like marketing or anything, which is the weirder thing is that there's no marketing. Like, it's one thing for there not to be an official like source, you know, because like they're not just going to confirm something, you know. It's like the whole veterans question. Are all the veterans coming back? We still don't know. We still don't know if they're all coming back. They might just not be on the cover. They might not be the ones that we've seen yet. They might have a billion spotlights left because all of those veterans might still be coming back, like Cat Dog and such, you know what I mean? However, that's the other thing, is they can't just answer these things because there might be reasons behind, like an NDA, for instance. As they've stated for other things, developers just straight up can't answer these things. So it's up to marketing to tell us what they're allowed to talk about. So if this is something that they, for some reason, are unable to talk about, it would be to at least be appreciated. And I think that this is hard through like social media. Like, it's hard to just message Fair Play Labs or Game Mill and be like, hey, is there crossplay coming day one? And to expect a response is very, that's a very demanding ask, I think. So it's not really on them. But the easiest way to do it would be to, one, either because you're marketing the fact that crossplay exists, just say one time, day one crossplay. It'll be in. Day one crossplay. Like, if you can say it. Because you have a lot of people asking, and even myself, I'm speculating, not because I actually expect it not to be there day one, but if it straight up isn't there for some reason on day one, it would make sense as to why they aren't saying so. Like, let's say maybe right now there's some theoretical issue with crossplay, and it's being ironed out, but just in case, because they don't want to have like a repeat of last time with Nick Brawl 1, for those who aren't in the know. They don't want to accidentally reveal that, oh, we had this reveal of when it was going to be in there, and then we lied, like, in quotes. Because in Nick Brawl 1, they accidentally, during an HBox stream, told, like, we're ready to announce the fact that crossplay becoming like Q2 of like 2022 or something like that, Q3 of 2022 or something. And then that kind of unfortunately did not pan out the way they expected it to, with crossplay never actually making it officially forever to Nick Brawl 1, only briefly because of an accident. So with Nick Brawl 2, with them not really pulling the trigger, it feels safe to say that they're doing this, at least in my opinion, to not shoot the gun early. They're not trying to create another hype incident that dies down and then people feel a little bitter about not getting what they were advertised. However, to my response to that is, if you are constantly talking about crossplay and it's in all of this marketing material, and while you say that and then you realize it's only actually been in 3 like official trailers, but then it's also in like a couple of these tweets, especially one being today when this video is posted, it is something that they're talking about. So I'd imagine if they can talk about, like, if they can just straight up say, yes, it'll be there day one, and it's not from like it's not from, oh, I talked to a beta tester, John Cena 400, and he might have suggested that it's coming. Like, I don't want speculative, like, oh, I can't say that, you know. If no one can say anything, that's totally different. But if there's a possibility that, oh, it's just like a fluke with like the way words were used, you know, in like a tweet, or The fact that like they just never thought they'd have to be that like simple. Because it's not just me asking. It's a lot of people asking. It's a lot of fans who are not in the loop. It's a lot of fans who aren't following the info as closely. They read that and then they make them scratch their head for a moment saying, is it... So it is coming at launch, right? Like I happen to see this or that, you know? And then they start saying, well, that's weird. Why doesn't it say at launch? So then you start scooping the brain. And it's okay. I think that's fair to ask, because when you're a consumer and you're being asked to spend $50 for the base product and $70 for the deluxe and whatnot, it's important to know what you're actually getting. You know what I'm saying? It's important to know that when you are spending that type of money, that you're getting exactly what's been told. And what's been told is that we're getting crossplay, but we haven't been told when. So some people may want to wait for their purchases until crossplay actually is officially announced for day one. Other people might be waiting for crossplay to come out because that will determine if they even want to buy the game, because maybe their friend is on a Nintendo Switch and they're on a Xbox or a PC or a PlayStation, and they won't be able to play the game with their friends. So neither them or their friend will buy it day one because they aren't sure if the game is going to actually have crossplay. So why would I pre-order? And then you're losing pre-order bonuses and things like that, all because of just the potential confusion that not saying day one for one item will bring. And if it's just the case of they had this roadmap for marketing planned out and they are talking about like crossplay anyways, because they're like, all right, you can talk about it. You can say that this is a feature that we're going to bring. We know it's going to be in the game at some point. I think that it is important to be able to clarify when. And it's really tough. And I totally understand like a development aspect of like, oh, it's intended to be there at launch. We don't want to overpromise. And so we're also working on a ton of things right now with the balancing and the like character lighting and like models and textures and whatever. Like, I don't know, like netcode, like just anything, you know? Like there's a ton of stuff that they're probably working on right now, and being able to just like super duper confirm crossplay, like maybe they can and they just haven't realized that they should, because they've already talked about it so much, you know? So it's like we know crossplay is a thing that they're either working on or that is intended to be there at launch, but like right now it's vaguely confusing as to what it is. And it's different to say, oh well, so and so said this, than to just say, well look, they're marketing it as day one. Then that conversation is over. And so that's all. That's all I'd like to talk about in this video. It's just that, what do you think? Is this something that you should actually put some thought into? Is this just, hey, like, put your tinfoil hats on. Is this going to be in NASB 2 at launch? Is crossplay going to be there? Or is this just more of a thing of, hey, this is what happens when like marketing isn't necessarily the simplest it can get, and it isn't like containing all of the relevant information that you would have maybe wanted as a consumer. And I think neither of these things are the end of the world, personally. I don't think crossplay should be in the game. I think that's important that it is, if somehow it isn't at launch. But if it's not going to be a deciding super duper factor, you know? Because the game seems very good in the way that it looks and is polished, and it looks fun to play, and the characters all awesome, and the animations look sick. You know, it's like, it's not going to affect necessarily the sales per like account and such too much, but I imagine there's a lot of people who really want crossplay. And as a tournament organizer, I absolutely do want crossplay, because it'll mean a much less headache-inducing bracket experience for when I create brackets. Instead of having to create 4 or 5 brackets, I can create 1. So that's my thoughts on this. I think that the final thoughts you should have, the TLDR, if you got this far, is that crossplay probably will be coming day one to NASB 2. It is just a matter of them not wanting to overpromise and overmarket and freak out the developers on a crunch deadline in case something goes haywire, and they just can't promise it at launch, because maybe day one there'll be a huge online issue with all the people trying to sign on, and then crossplay breaks and they have to like separate the servers, you know? Like, it could be something terrible, but it should be there at launch, and if all things go according to plan. And doesn't sound like they're not. It doesn't seem like they're gonna have to delay the game or anything crazy, you know? It's not like there's like some insane like, oh, there's a memory leak that we have not discovered and the game just keeps crashing and crashing and crashing, and it's actually due to an item, you know? Like, there's nothing insane. So the game, TLDR, again, for the TLDR, is that probably will be there. If it's not, it's because of the intentional way that they market it, so that in case something broke, they could fix it and then put it in maybe week 1, week 2, or month 1, you know, instead of breaking it and then no one is able to play. So that's all. I hope that this reaches with an understanding ear and not like my voice sounding like I'm trying to be critical or like spiteful or something towards developers or marketers, because it's like I understand that there also is just lines you can't talk about, things you can't say, things that you don't want to talk about, and if it's not something that you do, then just don't say anything. That's okay. But yeah, I hope that this was a discussion that was interesting and that everybody that watched the video liked it. So if you did like it, make sure to leave this video a like and leave your own comments in the comment section below. Is there something I missed? Is there any actual marketing material for the game that says crossplay day 1 at launch? Is there anything? If you can find it, send me the link in the comment section below, and I will see you all in the next video.